We'll now move to 7.1, which is a presentation of the City of Granbury Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, ACFR, for fiscal year 2021. Mr. Kaufman.
We have with us the auditor, but I will let Ava make a little presentation to you, and then we'll have Mr. Hungerford give you some information as well. So thank you for coming, Daniel. Ava, take it away.
Thank you, City Manager. I would like to, good evening, Council, Mayor, City Manager, City Attorney. I would like to do a quick highlight on the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report before I turn the floor over to Mr. Daniel Hungerford. He's with George Morgan Sneed, as Chris stated. They are our CPA firm, and they are the ones who prepared the independent audit for the city as required by the charter. And the audit was completed for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021. And we have provided a paper copy to each council member. We also put the report on our website and attach it to the agenda, so it would be available for anyone to review. The report is published to provide the City Council, citizens, bondholders, and any other stakeholders with information, detailed information concerning the financial health of the city. And it has 3 sections: the introductory, financial, and statistical section. It is also part of our important mandatory reporting. By March 30th, this report has to be distributed to various stakeholders. It has to be put on the EMA portal. It's very important that we do all that because that's in our bond covenant, and that's a required step. On the next page, so my goal is to just highlight some of the major revenues. As you know, 2 major funds for the city are the general fund and the utility fund. On this slide, you can see the components for the general fund, the major revenue sources. I included a comparison to the previous fiscal year because the book doesn't really show what happened last year. We have increased our revenues compared to previous year by 9%, mainly because of sales tax, which increased by 12%, about $1.2 million, and permit revenue increased as well, about $250,000. So if you look on your book, and I'll just reference the book really quick, on page 22, you can see that the net change in the fund balance for the general fund increased by $3.8 million, and that's based on the revenue increase I just mentioned, and also some budgetary savings. On this slide, you see that the property tax revenue decreased by 15%, but it is because I wanted to explain that we have shifted more of the property tax over to the INS, the debt service side, as we issued a new bond in 2020 for several municipal projects like the police station. So actually, the increase in property tax revenue, in total property tax revenue, is about 5%. We also decreased the property tax rate by 1% in 2021. And it's not part of this report, but I was going to mention that the property tax rate was also again increased for the current fiscal year by 2%. So on the next slide, that's where you see the growth for the ad valorem valuation. As you see, over the last 6 years, we have increased the revenue. The ad valorem growth is about 6%. We have decreased the property tax rate the last 2 years, and the graph shows that. The red line shows that. In 2021, the ad valorem valuation was a little over $1.7 billion. On the next slide, I have a little highlight on the sales tax. The last 6 years, sales tax increased 7% on average. Again, we have reached the highest sales tax collection in the history of the city. I know I say that every year, but that's actually true. And the increase was about $1.2 million, which is about 12%. On the next slide, I presented the same breakdown for the utility fund. The major components for the utility fund are the electric revenue, the water revenue, and wastewater revenue. The electric revenue makes up about 46% of the total revenues. That trended about the same as the previous year. Water revenues have decreased, but that is because fiscal year 2020 was much drier and there was a lot more watering. And that's obvious when you look at the wastewater revenues, which increased by 3%. We added a little over 200 connections in fiscal year 2021. The next slide gives you a little history on the sales tax revenue. I included a little arrow to show you that in fiscal year 2018, we have decreased our electric rate by 9%. That's when the city was able to start a new contract we have for purchase power, and that allowed us to decrease the rate, which we were able to hold very steady over the last few years. On page 26, you see that the city's net position decreased about $1.5 million in the utility fund, but that is after the city recognized the $4.4 million electric bill to ERCOT that we paid for the winter storm last February. On the next slide, I again gave you a breakdown for the water and wastewater revenue. Overall, water and wastewater revenue decreased about 3%, but it's holding steady, and there was no increase in rate in fiscal year 2021. And the last component that I wanted to highlight is our hotel occupancy tax collection. In that too, we reached the highest hotel occupancy collection in fiscal year 2021, over $900,000, which is an increase of 41%. Of course, we are comparing to a pandemic year, but if you compare us to fiscal year 2020, the increase is still 9%, and that's related to the tremendous efforts of our tourism department. And this page is a little busy, but it's important because over time, the strong net position is a good indicator how the city is doing. The city pledges to maintain reserves at a minimum of 90 days or 25% of the operating expenditures. In fiscal, I have the general fund balance in red, you can follow that, and the utility fund in green. The first box will show you in dollars where we ended up as far as the unassigned fund balance. And you can look at the unassigned fund balance for both utility fund and general fund as similar to retained earnings that represent the value that it's not restricted or committed to a certain obligation like debt service. It's not the same as cash. As you can see, we have increased our net unassigned fund balance for the general fund. It's just under $12 million. That's the last column in 2021, which is 74% of the operating expenditures. And for the utility fund, it's just right under $13 million, even after the ERCOT bill was recognized, and that's 72% of the operating expenditures. The strong unassigned fund balance is a very important factor for our rating agencies for us to maintain our ratings. And the last graph, just wanted to give you a quick update where we are with debt services, with our combined debt service. In fiscal year 2021, our obligation is $123,245,000, and I captured some of the most recent transactions or issues and refunds on these charts to show you the activities. Our obligation is about $5 million in fiscal year 21 that we pay towards principal and about $3 million towards interest. So about $8 million a year that we have to pay towards that. And with that, I will let Daniel Hungerford to answer any questions and add to the presentation.
If I could have you go back to the previous slide, if you could, I would like to add something. I just want to make sure y'all realize that unassigned fund balance doesn't mean net profit for the year. Okay, that means there's that much money in that fund accumulated over a period of years to equal 74% of our operating expense in this 2021 budget or audit. And then on the utility side, it's $12,981,004 compared to 18 million operating expense, which gives you a 72% ratio. And our goal is 25%, but obviously you're familiar with our capital projects that are scheduled that are going to be coming out of those amounts, but I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't a confusion. All in, you know, we got about with capital expenditures and everything, we probably have about $80 million budget, and so I think you said we netted about 3.3 million after we paid the 4.4 million to the, or took on the debt for the 4.4 million for the utility fund.
So no, actually we went down $1.5 million in the utility fund after we recognized the $4.4 million.
So that would be unrestricted, would have been higher than 12 million had we not had to pay that. And you can see the decrease from 91% the previous year to 72. But we booked the liability complete, and so we've got that in yet to pay all of it. It hadn't been paid yet. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that out, and it was a good year in midst of the storm, and we also were able to trim expenditures to create a surplus, which helps build that $3 million that she was talking about. So the biggest thing going for us with sales tax just keeps going up, and that's positive, but I'm very concerned about that number moving forward in the coming year. To be able to hit that number that we've even got budgeted because of the inflation that we're experiencing. At some point, the retail sales should contract because the money's going to dry up. There's a lot of money out there right now still from the stimulus and all those federal funds that have been made available, programs. So we got to be conservative in what we do.
Yes.
That's my bottom line. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question. Had you not been conservative along the way, and we had not, you had not, the city had not, had these operating expenses at 58%, or the fund balance is 58%, 73%, 56, 53. Had we been running at 25%, which is required by law, correct?
By our charter.
Or by our charter, what would have happened when the $4 million charge came in last year?
That's a good question. We wouldn't have had that money to be able to pay it, and maybe we would have had to increase our electric rate to our customers, which we didn't have to do because of the fund balance that we had. And plus, we wouldn't have the ratings with the bonding agencies we have either, because they actually do require that we do have more than 25%. Our rating is much stronger because of that. They know how reliant we are on sales tax, so.
So we've got a AA rating from Standard & Poor's and Fitch, and that helps get better interest rates on those bonds that we issued. So saves us lots of money having that.
Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I don't think the citizens of Granbury know the impact that the city has taken on as that $4 million ERCOT, I guess, expense. That could have been easily transferred to the citizens of Granbury through their utility bills. And people don't realize that until if they got the bill that said, you know, an additional $4 or $5 every month or whatever it would have been increased on their utility bill. But I mean, this is to me, it's big when you take $4 million for a small city like ours, and you take it, and the city takes it and covers the bill for the citizens. That's all I got.
You know, just to add to that, Mayor, roughly doing the math, $4.4 million, 3,600 meters, that's $1,200 per meter that we're not having to bill because of our billing structure that we already have. And so hats off to y'all for allowing us to keep that structure in place and making those decisions to at least provide a stable rate for people to expect what their utility bill will be. We're very fortunate compared to the rest of the folks in the state, and there's some skyrocketing bills in different places. But I did look at for the first time since I've been here, we are now cheaper than United Co-op on your electric rate. So hats off to Granbury Electric. So.
Exactly. We had inadvertently missed the opportunity to say thanks to and recognize staff today, so we're going to take that opportunity right now. Thank you for keeping us at the conservative level.
Thank you. I do have to add that it's definitely our auditors. It was a combined effort with our auditors and our staff, so it's just, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Daniel Hungerford. I won't take much time. I just want to point out a few things in the annual comprehensive financial report. This report is sent off to the Government Finance Officers Association each year. They go through it with a big checklist and look to make sure that it meets their accounting reporting requirements. And for 2020, the city received the Certificate of Achievement for Financial Reporting, and we think that your report this year will receive that also. Now, our auditor's report is on page 1. It says that your financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's an unmodified opinion, clean opinion that you'd want to see in your financial statements. The other reports that we issued start on page 125. On page 125 is our report on internal control and compliance in a government auditing standards audit. We did not have any findings to report there. There were no instances of non-compliance, and there were no internal control issues that we felt were significant and should be reported there. And our third report is on page 125. It's a report on compliance for your major federal program. The Texas Water Development Board projects that you have going on, those are funded with, the major program this year was funded with the Clean Water State Revolving Funds. That's phase 1 of your wastewater improvements. You spent, during the year, there were $4,579,000 spent on that project. Since it's funded with federal awards, we had to do a compliance audit. And our report says that you were in compliance with all of the applicable federal requirements. So we had a clean audit. We don't have any findings to report. We were able to come in, get the audit done in a timely manner. Ava, Misty, and her staff, they do a great job having everything ready for us. So we're able to come in and get the audit done without really many audit adjustments or many issues. Do you have any questions for me regarding anything in the audit?
No questions? I believe not. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
For those of you who've seen this is online. I encourage each and every one of you to pull up a copy, and there will be a test next meeting. So, open book, by the way, so please bring your book.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Best.
just want to add one comment, talking about the Award of Achievement for Excellence in Reporting. They mentioned that the city earned that award last year and was going to propose it for next year as well, or this year as well. I wanted to make note that the city has received this award for 12 consecutive years. So, I mean, not only excellent, financial keeping of the taxpayers' money for the city, great stewardship, And I just thought this was a very thorough and complete audit, and my hat's off to Evan, the whole finance department, and Chris for just a super job on this, so congratulations.
Yes, very good.
I think it's 21 years,
Yeah. it's
Oh, is that right? I thought I heard
dyslexic,
12
yeah.
years. Sorry.
maybe
Well-
more than that.
That's what was in the book.
Ava can take you back into the area and show you all of the plaques that she's received, so.